Welcome to the third part in the series called Spiritual and Personal Growth. I just want to mention here that you don't have to take them in the order. Last week I did a power yoga class. If that's not you, just don't do that one. Today it's going to be a slow class with a little bit of flow as well. And actually a topic that has been roaming around in my mind and my heart for some weeks by now. So I think it's important and something that we need to really get into our body, souls and mind in order to grow. So today, let's take a seat, bring a block if you have, because it's nice to have that extra thing, and you can even sit on it if you like. So find that comfortable seat that works for you. If you want to rest on the floor, you are most certainly welcome. A little bit of breathing and introduction to the theme. Also, as we move a little bit, you just want to get into it somewhat quickly. But close your eyes. And maybe take one hand on your chest and one on your belly. Relax your shoulders. And then breathe. Feeling your hands move, especially the one on the belly. Calm your breathing. Do it slower, deeper. And this is cross yoga. And if there's a prayer in your heart, something you need to let go of or surrender, welcome to do that. Maybe release your hands from your chest and do like this shape, and you put things into this plate in front of you. Sighing out if you want to. Sometimes these wordless prayers are just as important as those that we use with our intellect and our words. If you have put anything in your hands, you can open your palms and maybe picture that all of this that you've filled your plate with can be released into God's hands or into a river, if that's better for you. You don't need to carry it. You can kind of shake the dust off your shoulders. Let's move with our breath as I just introduce this theme. Bring your hands in front of you in prayer pose. Inhale as you bring your arms up overhead. And then exhale, bring your right hand down. Now, if you're seated on the block, you might not come as far down, but just go for a little bit of a tilt towards your right side. Lifting up again, going towards your left. Again, doesn't have to be a big move. Maybe it's just the top ribs moving to the side. Coming up again, and palms together, coming down. And let me cue all of it with a breath, right? And so inhale, reach the arms up. Move towards your right hand, your right side, your right hand comes down. Exhale. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to your left side. Inhale, palms together. Exhale, drop your hands down. So one inhale and exhale per movement. Inhale up. And I think you've got it. Now, what has been on my mind is that often people, myself included, live in this either or. black and white scenario. Either people are completely wrong or they are completely right. But I think it's actually an immature way of looking at life. I think so often it's both and. But when we have this black and white scenario, those are right, these are wrong, I'm right, they are, or I'm wrong and they are, all these black and white scenarios, it gives us some sort of false security. Give us some sense of having control because I know what is right. But when we grow as human beings, and I also think spiritual growth, we need to broaden the scope of things. We need to live in a scenario where there is sometimes gray scenarios. I'm not saying that everything is relative and there's no right or wrong, but I'm saying that sometimes we have to live in this space between the right and wrong, and the complexity of life. Next time your hands are down in prayer pose, you can release that posture and do free movements. I was in church yesterday where the speaker was using this image of the sea. And it really relates to what I'm speaking of today. So coming out of your seated posture, I'll come back to the image of the sea. Put the blog aside for now. Bring your hand to the front. If you want to continue in tabletop instead of down dog, do that. If you want to do your down dog, take the knees off, lift the tailbone up and back away from the shoulders. Elongate from the crown of the head to the spine, through the spine and the tailbone. And then soften your knees one at a time, opening up your legs. Making sure that you have a little bit of distance in between the feet so they're not too narrow. Roll almost like a wave into your plank. Use this on toes or knees and roll back, whatever that looks like, however you interpret that, back into your down dog. Make sure your heels are not pushing down. Soften those knees. Again, plank, wave it to the front and wave it back. One more time. And then step to the front and fold forward. Shake things out a little bit. You can grab your block and place it somewhere on the tall end here at front of your feet. Bending the knees ever so gently. Going for a twist. Bring the right hand up towards the sky. Folding in forward fold and hands then shift. So left hand moves up. Forward fold, exhale. So let's do this a couple of times. Most likely you have been out on a boat once or twice, if not more, throughout your life. And I don't know if you have ever tried diving or snorkeling. I absolutely love snorkeling and seeing everything underneath the sea. Now, when you are in a boat out somewhere, is what is underneath you, is that not existing? Yes, of course it is. It's just not what you see. It's not your perspective, but it's still there. It's just a few feet underneath you. And finishing with one last time on each. And so it is with life. Sometimes, if you move into mountain pose, I can finish my little thing here. So standing in mountain pose, sometimes we live as only on the top of the sea exists. The waves, the wind, and the everything because we're used to that. But when we take those goggles on and dive in, we see a world full of fish, depending on where you are, right? But a completely different world that is just as real, just as true as what is on top. It's all about perspectives. It's not just one thing. It's both and. Circle your arms out and up towards the sky, palms together, and then fold forward. And now that you're down here, you might grab your block. Bring the right foot to the back of the mat, warrior two, so pivot the foot around. And then you can bring this block on the highest height on the outside, on the pinky toe side of the foot, and find your warrior two. Soften the front knee. Shorten the distance here if it's too much. Let's breathe a little bit here. And then bring the front hand down. Now, if the block is without reach, grab a hold of your thigh. If you can grab a hold of the block, do that. This elevated hand, bring it behind you. Bend the elbow and bring the hand as far behind you, maybe through the front thigh, if possible. Shoulder up and back to open up. So am I living in a world scenario only seeing what's on top, denying the reality at the bottom, or the other reality that things are not just black and white? Might be used to one thing more than the other. Let go, stretch the front leg and lift up, release that back arm down towards this thigh for support. Keep the hip aligned with the long end of the mat, and then you can bring this top arm behind or over the head actually and grab the head, and then kind of put your head into your hands as you lean back. Avoid this tendency of shaping your body another direction. Keep everything in line with those heels. You might feel a deep stretch in the side here of the shoulder and the armpit. One more breath. Engage the core, lift up. Wide-legged forward fold with a twist. So turn this front toe, and you might not be able to see the screen, but that's fine. Listen to my words. Toes pointing slightly in. Bring the block, maybe you need it on whatever height, in front of your feet, but in between. Take a hold with the left hand and reach the right arm up towards the sky. Avoid moving the hip towards the right side. Try to let the hips stay still. And especially also in yoga and these postures, there is as such no right posture, no wrong posture as such. There are things that might be more aligned, things that way you can hurt yourself a little bit, but it's all a matter of what your body looks like, how used you are to these things, how flexible you are. So the right posture is the one that fits your body, the one that challenges you a little bit as well. Let go. And you can soften your wide forward fold here. Make your way to the top of the mat where you were doing your downward face dog before. Step the feet back, down dog. Take a few breaths here. Especially in conflict situations. If there are people that have hurt us, we have this image that they are bad, just bad. But can we see more? Not justifying what they did, not saying it's right, but can I live with the image that this person might be hurting as well? Might have some very small person inside them, a child trying to break out, and that's why they're acting the way they are. Can I live with that? Step your right foot to the front and left to the back this time. Warrior 2, second time around. Again, you can grab your block, bring it to the outside of the foot. I will turn around in just a moment, but just get yourself situated there, opposite side, so your right leg is at front, your left is back, sink low. Look over towards the front hand there. You stay put. Bring the front hand down. Grab the block, or as I shared before, you can go for the thigh there with the arm. Nose button in. So you have a long neck connecting with your spine. One more breath. Grounding down, feeling the front thigh, saying, ah. Let go, stretch both legs. You might say, ah, that's nice. Take a hold of the back leg, front hand up, holding onto your head to some degree. Leaning your head into your arms, making sure you don't lean forward. We tend to do that a lot. So lift this top elbow up towards the sky as you lean back. I was once a part in trying to solve a conflict in between some organizations and some people. And both were very trustworthy, nice people, but they just had this thing in between them. And they both told a very different story of a certain conversation that happened. And I remember being frustrated because who was right? Who's right? Who am I going to trust in? Maybe you have similar scenarios or stories coming out of this. Bring the block. Pivot the front foot so you're once again wide-legged, probably opposite side than before. Bring the block down. This time your left hand on top. The right hand moves up, and again, make sure the hip is moving. What I came to realize back then, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around, is that both stories are right. I don't think one is lying, but it's just simply different things you remember, different emotions shaping the memories. So again, living with that scenario, that it's not right or wrong. It's just different stories. And how can I help solve this with these different stories? Letting go. And just lean forward. You might bring your hands, if you can reach, on the floor, on the block. If you're up for a headstand, you can definitely do that. Feel like it. Put your head down. Which way you want to do it, just put your head down. Again, don't overdo this. If you feel like going up into your headstand, tripod headstand, you can do that. Sometimes seeing things from a different perspective, right? Coming down again. And then take a seat on the mat. Take a hold of the block and put it in between your thighs. We're going to do bridge pose, but with a block there, because that will kind of challenge our legs a little bit more. So come down on your back like this. Make sure that the knees and the feet stay in the same distance, so you're not doing some odd things here with your legs. Squeeze on the block. I'm having the slimmest side in between my legs. That's most comfortable, but you can choose the wider if you want to. Squeeze in and then roll your spine up. Finding your bridge pose, you can kind of walk your shoulder blades together. Maybe grasp the hands. It's fine if things are shaking. Just keep breathing. Two more breaths. And then you can wiggle yourself out, roll down. Let go of the block, windshield wiper your legs. Gonna stretch just a little bit, and I'll share a story from the Bible that speaks to this, that faith is not either you believe or you don't, like a clear cut. At least when I see people, I don't make the choice if people believe or not. That's God's thing, right? I can just point in the direction of what I see is love, forgiveness, truth, hope. Bring the right leg up and either hold on the leg there, the shin, or if you can hold the toes. If you happen to have a strap nearby, you can definitely use that. Just rest there for a moment and then listen to this story from the Bible. It's from Mark 9. I won't read the whole thing, just listen. So Jesus is walking around on earth doing his thing. And then this happens. A man from the crowd said, "Teacher, I brought my mute son, made speechless by a demon to you. Whenever it seizes him, it throws him to the ground. He foams at the mouth, grins his teeth, and goes stiff as a board. I told your disciples, hoping they could deliver him, but they couldn't." Jesus said, "What a generation! No sense of God. How many times do I have to go over these things? How much longer do I have to put up with this? Bring the boy here." They brought him. And do the other leg by now. So take the other leg up and stretch that leg. And then I continue. When the demon saw Jesus, it threw the boy into seizure, causing him to writhe on the ground and foam at the mouth. He asked the boy's father, How long has this been going on? Ever since he was a little boy. Many times it pitches him into the fire or the river to do away with him. If you can do anything, do it. Have heart and help us. Jesus said, if? There are no ifs among believers. Anything can happen. So soon were these words out of his mouth, the Father cried, I believe. Help me with my doubts. And then Jesus heals the boy. Just stay with that story and let go of your left leg down on the floor there. Butterfly, so sole of the feet together, knees out. The man, obviously, with the boy, has his doubts. He is desperate. If, Jesus, if you can do anything, please do something. And Jesus kind of speaks a little bit harshly back, right? If I can do something. But maybe Jesus is doing this to get the man to rock bottom, where he speaks the truth. I believe, but I also don't believe. That's the and or. That living, knowing that both on top of the sea and the bottom of the sea is just as real. And Jesus, he stays there. He doesn't say, what an odd thing, and then leave the boy. He heals the boy. Maybe he just wants the man to be real. To live with the faith and doubts he had. What are you thinking about this? Get your knees back together and hug your knees in. There are so many takeaways from this. I can think about it in my own life. I might have ideas of who I am that is very black and white. I can do this and I can't do that. Maybe God is speaking to us to soften those things. Maybe it doesn't have to be perfect or nothing. Or maybe it's our image of God. Like God is far away. Or God is like this. But can I also expand that to see that God is more? God loves me, yes. But he's also the CEO. He's also the ruler. The one in control. I'm not. Can I have this picture in my faith and in my personality? Let go of your knees and then come down into a resting position here on the floor. Get some distance in between your feet, and if you have your block nearby, you can either use it as a pillow, or some really love putting it underneath the shoulders here or the spine. So I can show you. So this is where you approximately put it. You put it down on the floor if you want to stay in that shape. I'm not going to do that, but just want to show you. Lean the head back like this, and we a small chest opener. Whatever works for you. Well, let us stay here, and maybe you can meditate on these questions I asked, or maybe you just want to stay quiet, whatever. I'll finish with a prayer in a while. Soften your face and your whole body. Relax. I will say a prayer, and you just stay down here. Listen to the prayer or pray with me. God, I believe, but help my doubts. God, help me to live in this complexity of the world that is the world as it is now. Help me to be wise and dare to grow as a human being and in my faith by accepting that things are not always just black and white. That there can be two realities that are existing, and I have to be in the middle of it. Help me not to escape just because it's easier to. I choose the black and white scenario because it gives me control or a sense of security. I need you, God, for strength and support with all the complexity that I hold and the things that I see that I also hold. Amen. If you feel like this topic hit on something, and I truly believe that it does in some of us, maybe you have a diary or maybe you write some stuff down after this class. Wiggle your fingers, your wrists, everything. Maybe stretch or hug your knees again. And then take that seat. So may God bless you with peace, with living in the complexity of life. Thank you.